selling things that don't exist. Learn the secret on today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Social Pilot, the social media and marketing tool for bloggers and small businesses. Join over 20,000 social media pros at servenomaster.com/socialpilot today.
Are you tired of dealing with your boss? Do you feel underpaid and underappreciated? If you want to make it online, fire your boss and start living your retirement dreams now, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Serve No Master Podcast, where you'll learn how to open new revenue streams and make money while you sleep. Presented live from a tropical island in the South Pacific by best-selling author Jonathan Green. Now, here's your host.
I'm a huge fan of the print-on-demand economy. It's not the same thing as the just-in-time economy. I don't believe that warehouses of food should be empty and only have enough food for 3 days ahead. I do believe in having a little bit more than a couple of days of food stockpiled, but the print-on-demand economy is that you don't make it until someone buys it. And I'm a big believer in that. I don't create it or it doesn't exist until someone wants it. If you order any of my books, every one of my books, you can get. I have comic books, coloring books, paperbacks, hardbacks. You can order any of them. And after you place that order, the machine will print it, but not before. That's the print-on-demand economy. This is on my mind because I've been doing a lot of webinars lately, and I love talking about webinars. And because last night I was having a conversation with someone, coaching client, who was asking about creating a product. He's like, it'll take me a couple of months to create my product. I go, wait. Let me give you a shortcut so you can make it fast. I said, you should be done creating your course in less than a month because you already have the expertise. You're already doing a lot of consulting and a lot of services. All you're doing is codifying what you already do, and you have it in your head. So what you need to do is create a structure to get you to do it fast. And today's episode, we're going to talk about exactly what I taught him, which is how you can sell something before you make it. And webinars is a great way to do it. It's a great way to sell a product because you're doing a live digital call, and then you deliver it via webinar as well. That's exactly what I was telling him. We're going to go into detail on that in today's episode. But we live at a time that's really magical. I had a friend, when I was DJing a lot and doing music production, living in the UK, he had done a pressing. A pressing is where you get, in his case, it was 200 vinyl records of your song printed so that you can then send out or sell. You can do something with. Now, many DJs are digital. There's a lot of just, you send someone a file, but 20 years ago, 18 years ago, it was not that environment because you played actual vinyl. I learned to DJ playing vinyl with two Technique SL1200 turntables and a mixer in the middle. Yes, eventually, because I travel so much and travel the world, I switched to digital. But that's how I started. There's just something like the feel, and I hate to become one of those people, right? That's like a cliche, but I love the sound and the feel of vinyl under my fingers. The problem is where I live, it's so hot, vinyl gonna melt. I've warped records under heat before, so I know what can happen. But he pressed 200 records, then he decided he didn't like the song, didn't sell any of them. That's the nightmare. That's my nightmare scenario, is I don't like playing the guessing game. Now, a lot of people do. This just isn't my business model. If you're really into something, my friend, he has a couple of products that he sells that are physical, and every few months he sends an entire shipping container filled with tens of thousands of the exact same hat or the exact same coin or the exact same t-shirt from China to America, and then he sells them all off until that shipping container is empty, and then he buys another shipping container. I don't do that. Now, he didn't do that until he had something he knew was working. He built up to it, but I would rather sell t-shirts that are print on demand. That's how you start, and then you work your way up to it. But that's the two differences, right? Shipping container full of stuff, only make it after someone's purchased it. The real fear that I have is that I'll get stuck with a bunch of stock like happened to my friend. I can't always predict. In fact, I almost always predict incorrectly. The one thing that never ceases to amaze me is my inability to predict customer behavior. Every time we have a live coaching call or we're launching a course, or I'm asking people which book cover they like more, or I'm sending out a survey, the responses I get are the opposite of what I thought I was going to get. I'm unable to predict customer behavior, which is why I have to ask questions. I can never predict which book is going to sell the most, which is why I don't print up 500 copies of a book and send it to a warehouse. Yes, I would make more money per book, but you're betting and gambling in a way that I'm not good at, and I like to avoid that. And if you like doing that, you absolutely can. I recommend working your way through the print-on-demand economy first to find out what people like, and then to scale by doing batch orders. So you can use, even if you don't want to do this long-term, you can use print-on-demand or selling things that don't exist yet to get the data you need, and then you scale with batch orders. I'm not a big believer in opinions. A lot of times people come to me and they say, Jonathan, I asked all of my friends something, and here's the answer they gave me. And that's why I made this product and it's not selling. Really common thing to happen. The opinions are worthless. If you really want to know if something's going to work, the easiest way to do it is to create a sales page, put a buy button that doesn't go anywhere. They click the button, it says add to cart, and it doesn't actually work, and you just count how many times that button gets hit. That's the easiest way to do it, where you're not actually taking money and you're just running a test, and you can find out, do people want this thing? That's much better information than 10 people told me they liked it, because the only vote that matters is your wallet, your credit card, your money, your Bitcoin, whatever currency you're using, right? There's a lot of things that I tell people, oh, I like that. That seems like a cool idea. But then I don't buy it. I'm just as guilty as everyone else. There's a big difference between me saying I like something and me being willing to pay for it. There are certain tools that I use that I get early on. I'm an early adopter when I can be. If I can get something when they're at lifetime pricing before they've hit scale, where they have to do basically a fundraising round by releasing the product early and doing a flat fee before they can do recurring, I jump on that all the time. Guys, if you can hear the hammock I'm sitting on, please forgive me. My legs started to hurt, so I'm sitting on my hammock, and hopefully it won't be too noisy. Just give my legs a little bit of rest during today's episode. And if you guys enjoy sitting on a hammock, how about throwing a thumbs up underneath the YouTube version of this video? Let me know. Hopefully you like them as much as I do. The hammocks here are not made out of string or cloth. They're made out of wood, so they're noisy. So please forgive me for that. But voting and opinions are really inaccurate measurements. The only measurement of success is, will people actually buy it? So there are certain things that I'll pay a flat fee for. Some things I'll do a recurring fee for. Some of the services I use are really expensive. I never thought I'd pay that much for a software, a tool, or a service. But we get to a point where those are things that we'll absolutely positively do. When I'm thinking about releasing a new course, I always want to know, will people pay for it? That's the question. And that was what leads me to the webinar test. And this is what I was teaching my coaching client on the call last night. So you guys get it for free. You had to pay for it. The webinar test is this. You do a live call, and he was going to do it on a live stream, but it's the same idea. You do a live conference call where you're talking to your audience. Doesn't matter how many, as many of them as you can. And you say, hey guys, I'm doing this new course. It's going to be live. We're going to do 2 live training sessions, 4 live training sessions, or 10 live training sessions. They'll each be an hour long. It's going to be once a week for the next however long you're going to do it, right? Month, 2.5 months, whatever your range is. I always do them in between 4 and 10. I usually do 10, which is 2.5 months of commitment. And then I let them buy. I say, hey, this is a live training and there's a buy button and people can buy it. Most of the time, by the time I'm at this point, I generate sales. Most of the time, because I've been doing this long enough. But not every time. Sometimes I'll do one of these and I'll sell 0 to 1. If I sell 1, guess what? They're getting a refund. I'm not doing that course because I know nobody wants it. I worked really, really, really hard on a project called Writing Village. I tried to launch this. I think this was around winter or maybe October, November of 2018. I believe this is when I tried this idea. And this was what the course was. I had a live call with a whole bunch of people. I said, guys, here's what I'm doing. I see that a lot of us are trying to write books and we're frozen somewhere in the writing process. We're never crossing the finish line. And I know that it takes a village. So what I've put together is a package where we'll write our books together. So for 6 weeks, we're going to meet once a week, answer each other's questions, do progress reports. You're going to send in your chapters as you write them and I'll review them. And there were some crazy bonuses that I would never offer now at this price point, but it was $1,000 a person. I said, if I get 10 people, then I'll do it. Got 1. One of the bonuses was that I would edit your book, which normally I charge thousands of dollars for. But I wanted to launch this program, so I had really cool bonuses. I can't remember all the bonuses. I still have the webinar slide somewhere, but only one person bought it, and it was someone I was already working on another project with, so I refunded them and never did it. That was the biggest case where I really thought I had a great idea. I really thought it was a good idea. I said, this is the problem. People can't finish their books. They want to do it together. They need community. Writing on your own is hard, all that stuff. I was wrong. No one wanted it. So certain times, I guess it's absolutely wrong. And what I don't want you to think of is that you're selling snake oil. Live training is valuable. Live training is usually better. Live training, when you deliver a program live, the value is that, number one, it forces you to make the lessons in a timely fashion. So every single week when I'm doing a live training, I have to get done in time for that. Number 2 is that the lessons are better because people could ask questions. I can't tell you how many times I'm doing a 10-course live training, and course 7, and by lesson 7, it's nothing like I was originally planning because people tell you what they need, and then I meet them at their need. I go, oh, this is where you're stuck. Let's really, really work on that. So that's where you get a lot of value by communicating. And because you run a test, you're not going to do 4 live sessions with nobody there. You found out if it's a good idea or a bad idea, if you can generate sales. And it depends on the size of your audience, right? So maybe your threshold is if I sell 3, it's worth doing because then I can sell it over and over again. At least I know there's 3 people. I like to have at least 10. That's my bare minimum. And again, it depends on how you're pricing the course and things, but you want there to be enough people that it's worth your time, that you feel like, okay, people have paid for this. I'm making money for the time I'm investing. Now, all the time you spend building your course isn't speculation. It's already been paid for. So it's profit. And there are a lot of things that you can sell that don't exist yet using this process. You can sell live training, coaching, consulting. You can't coach someone until they're on the phone with you, right? You can sell books, clothes, drop shipping, and even 3D printing things. So it's not just limited to, traditional courses. An example is you go, okay, guys, what I'm going to do is a special edition run of figurines built around whatever. Like I'm going to do 10 vampire figurines. And then you only make it and do the design and print them out if people place the order. So it can be there for books. I've seen one of my friends runs a big crowdfunding platform specifically for authors, and people pay for a book that hasn't been written yet. I've seen someone email me the other day. I get so many emails. That's why I have an email story about everything, about how they wanted to do crowdfunding for a book. They said, oh, I saw you on this crowdfunding platform that I'm not a member of, that I'd never heard of before. So I was like, oh, you must have me mixed up with someone else. I certainly don't. Or it's something that I am on, but I don't remember, because crowdfunding is not my jam. I can only be an expert at so many things. I can't really be good at everything, but I am interested in crowdfunding, but I don't have a lot of expertise. And he said, oh, I need to do crowdfunding to pay for and all these things. I go, okay, this is someone who's never listened to any of my lessons. It was like massive editing budget, massive book cover design budget, all massive marketing budgets. It's like, yeah, you want someone else to pay all of your cost of goods. That's not me. That's not my approach to business, but I understand that. Plenty of people have that approach to business. So you can, if there are things that you need. So let's say you want to do a children's book, okay? You can write the story, but you need someone else to draw the pictures. You can crowdfund to get people to pay for the drawings, to pay the artist, to cover the artist cost. That's pretty reasonable to me. I see that all the time. So that's very interesting to me. So I want you to think about how you can expand your offerings, or how you can offer services and tools and designs while limiting your upfront costs, because that's where the magic really happens. So what I mean is, when I make a course, if I build a course, there's a process. I was just working on this SOP this week with my team. First process is idea phase. We have a whole bunch of ideas. I'm always writing down lists of product ideas. Then the next thing is research and outline creation, depending on what it is. If it's something where I'm not a complete expert, or we need to get updated information, I'll have someone go through other training courses. Usually I'll have them go through 4 or 5 training courses and just take massive notes and create an outline. And then I go through and I just cut out everything that doesn't match what I teach. And then I add in all the things that we need, all the bullet points that are missing. Then that outline goes to the next person that turns them into slides, and another person adds images to slides, and then I record the video to the slides. Then it goes through the processing department. So I have this entire process for creating a course. All of that time and money, paying my employees, buying the slide decks, paying for the images, that's speculation. If I deliver that exact same program via live training and sell it live, then I make the money up front. So the money for all of those things, for the slides, for the people, for the stock images, for the designs, for the video editing, that comes from sales that have already happened. That's the difference in mindset. That's the difference of, instead of spending from debt and hoping you recoup your investment, you're spending from profit, which is something I'm a big, big believer in. It's very hard to predict what your audience wants. So the best way to do that is by leveraging things that don't exist yet, by using the print-on-demand economy, by saying, okay, this isn't there yet, but if you buy one, I'll create it. That's where the magic is. That's where the specialness lies. As with everything, there's a pro and a con. So when you're deciding how to launch your product, what we're going to weigh is the cost versus the risk. So if I want to make as much as possible from every paperback copy of Serve No Master I sell, I can print a batch of 10,000 books, send them to one of Amazon's Fulfilled by Amazon warehouses, and then they'll handle the rest. And my cost of printing per book will be significantly lower. I'll save a lot of money. However, I'll be upside down until I sell 3,000 books. And I might have to sell as many as 5,000 of those books until I match what I would have made by selling 5,000 print-on-demand books. So there's this curve you go through. First, you're upside down, which is where you've taken a loss, where all you're doing is trying to sell enough copies of whatever you've batch ordered to cover what you actually paid. So you're trying to get back to break even. Then the second phase is you're trying to catch up to print on demand. So the first 3,000, you've lost money. The first 5,000 in total, you're still behind. But then from book 5,001 onward, it's 100% profit. That's really amazing. That's where things get really, really exciting. But I don't know if you want to call it fully gambling, because it's not totally gambling, but it is risk, and there's risk assessment to it. I have certain books that sell really, really well, and certain books that I think are better that you think are a stinker. I have some books that sell 10 times better than other ones, even though I think the secondary book is better. Doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what you think. You're the only one who gets to vote on which of my books are good, because they're the ones you choose to read. 90% of people who follow me read Serve No Master and Breaking Orbit. Those are the 2 books they read. I think Breakthrough is way better than Serve No Master. I wrote it 5 years later. It's a much more powerful outline. It's really practical, but based on the sales, people disagree. And part of it is that there's the momentum that Serve No Master has been selling since August of 2016. It's got hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews. There's that momentum thing, and also it's the same name as my website. So that's why I don't like to batch order, because my favorite things are not always your favorite things. So part of that is I'll do print on demand runs, and this applies to other business models as well. So I can do this for coloring books. You know, I love selling coloring books. My best-selling coloring book is not my favorite coloring book. Lo and behold, my favorites are not your favorites. So we have ideas, and before I go into batch ordering, before I order 500 coloring books, I want to make sure that I know which one is most popular. Now I know, then I can do a batch order. So I can start off by limiting my risk, and then later on, maximize my profitability. It's just the way to play it. An example of this, one of the other things I have a really cool training, I'm really into stickers. Sticker economy is really, really cool. Sticker economy is fascinating. There's so much money in it. Either you know about it or you don't, but there's a ton of money there. And the stickers that sell really well, if you go straight into batch orders, then what you might have 50 different batch designs you've done. And so you have 200 of each one, 10,000 stickers, or even 10,000 sheets, right? But you can't sell them all, because your best seller, you might sell all 200 of those sheets, and then another one you might only sell 1 or 2. I hate ordering stock. I don't like to guess. I'm not good at that. It's not something that's really inside my area of expertise. It might be inside yours. You might be really good at predictive models, in which case I encourage you to do it. Don't let me hold you back. But I recommend that you do print on demand or testing before you go into batch orders. This is a way you can minimize your risk. One of the lessons I learned, I've been working with real estate experts lately, is that it's more important to assess the downside of a project than the upside. An example, if you're really excited in real estate, this is what happens. You ever wonder why people get killed by one deal? Here's how it happens. They start working on a deal and a part of it falls through, but they keep going with it because they've invested time. They don't want to lose that time they've invested. And number two, they've formed an emotional attachment to the deal. They're like, this is the deal that's going to change my life. If this deal works out, I'll make $1 million. Okay, let's just put that in there. It could be like their big deal. But when the deal falls through, they lose their savings, lose everything. They're devastated. And that's because they only measured the upside. They go, all they were saying is $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. They were just assessing the potential upside. If you want to be really strategic, and I know we're delving into the real estate a little bit, real estate, there's always more deals. The secret to not getting emotionally caught up in a deal, according to my friend Dave, my real estate co-author, it is to get a lot of deals. The more deals you have coming in, the more options you have, the less you'll get pulled in emotionally into a deal. If you only see one deal every 3 months, yeah, you're going to get addicted. If you see 15 deals a week or 50 deals a week, then you're not going to get emotionally attached to one. So you want to look at the downside of any potential project. The downside is, what happens if I print 500 books and nobody wants any of them? What happens if I print 500 books and the 5th person notices there's a big spelling mistake? Still got to sell 495 more before I can fix it. So if you're wondering why I don't do runs on my books, that's why. I mostly sell digital editions of my books. I'm almost 90% digital these days. There are some people that are really into audiobooks. Guess what? That's a digital file too. The only physical editions or physical things that I sell are the paperbacks and the hardbacks, and some people just really want to hold it in their hands. That's cool, totally fine. But that's a segment, that's not the majority of my audience. I don't own any physical books right now. My children have a bunch of physical books for school because I ordered the homeschool kit. It comes with all these books, but that's the only books we have in the house because I live in the middle of nowhere. It costs more to ship a book to me than it does to buy a book. So the weight, the distance, those things mean that I live in a very digital environment. So that's how I engage with books. It just is what it is. I'm very much a digital person in how I deliver content and how I receive content. So in the same way, I don't do print runs because it's not really my core business model. You listen to the episodes on extreme giving, you listen to the episodes on building funnels and tripwires and building a business, you'll know that my business model is really built around what I sell inside the Serve No Master ecosystem. Not really into selling physical stuff because there's all these additional costs and challenges associated with it. Shipping it to you, printing it, dealing with returns if you decide to send it back, and that can happen. I sent someone a hardback book and there was damage to the book. I didn't damage it, right? It went straight from the printer to the person. That's the thing you have to deal with when it's a physical item. So that's an additional level of challenge and complexity that I'm not really into dealing with. So that's why I like to do print on demand. I like to do courses on demand. I like to make sure that people want something before I create it. I like to run tests. I like to really engage with you guys. You should know, I check every episode. How many people listen to it? Are the numbers going up? How are people engaging? What type of comments are people leaving? Am I talking about things that you find interesting? Are people saying the episodes are too long or too short? I don't look at a timer while I record these episodes. I have to get a feeling. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this recording is too long. And then I look and it's been 33 minutes. And I go, uh-oh, hopefully we'll edit it down to around 24, which is my target sweet spot. And sometimes I look and it's only been 14. I go, oh, I thought this was a longer outline than the other one. So that means sometimes episodes have a little bit of a variance. They're not perfectly 24 minutes every single time. I'm not that tight on it because I do this on my own. I encourage you to sell before you create. I'm a huge product creator. I've made products for most of my career. That's how I got started, by making products. The first big product I made, and this is the final story we'll wind down on, was a book called Girl Gets Ring. It's a book for teaching for women who are in a relationship how to go from dating to engaged. It covers that specific transition period. How to go, I've been dating someone for 6 months or 3 years. How do I go from girlfriend to fiance? I wrote that book. I didn't make $1 for more than a year. There was a huge time delay between creating the product and getting revenue from the product. And that was a tough time for me. That was a long time to wait. It was brutal. I had no control because I was the minority partner, and I had to wait. Now it's the opposite. I would much rather get in advance. You know, if you get a record deal or a book deal from a big publisher, they give you money up front. You don't get to keep it, by the way. They then subtract that from royalties. It's not like they've given you the money. It's just a loan to give you time to work on the project. And so that advance gives you the time. If you're working for someone else, if you're not your own boss yet, if you don't have that financial or time freedom and you need runway to write that book, to build that course, to say, get it. Because you just sell enough copies that can become the main thing you do. You go, oh, you know what? I need this much money to take 2 weeks off from work to make this course. And then you sell it to raise enough money. So it's a way of creating your own advance. It's a little bit like crowdfunding in the sense that you're getting money beforehand. It's just, I haven't done the formal crowdfunding structure, but that's what's happening there. So you can become your own advance. You can invest in yourself. You can generate money by selling things that don't even exist yet.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Serve No Master. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode. And we'll be back next Tuesday with more tips and tactics on how to escape that rat race. Head over to servenomaster.com/podcasts now for your chance to win a free copy of Jonathan's bestseller, Serve No Master. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review of this podcast. See you Tuesday.
Are you ready to make your first dollar online? Grab my free guide, how to make $1,000 this month at servenomaster.com/1K.